Hi, and welcome to the BookishStitcher podcast. My name is Jeanette. You can find me on Ravelry, Instagram, and Goodreads as BookishStitcher, all one word. I hope you've had a lovely week since I last podcasted. The podcast this week is going to be in a tiny bit different of a format because I had a whole bunch of activities that I want to talk about that I did over the weekend, but instead of talking about them all at the beginning, I'm going to talk about them kind of during the enabling thing because I got something for you guys, or one of the things I went to. So I'm going to talk about that during enabling. And then at the beginning, I'm just going to show my knitting and kind of do normal format, and then everything about the weekend will be in the enabling part. But first off, I wanted to say a huge thank you to everyone who reached out this week and just offered words of encouragement or trusted me with the story of their struggles when I talked about or the struggles of their family or friends when I talked about the depression that I've had for the last on and off since I was a teenager. And I had a huge amount of anxiety after I hit publish on that episode. It was crazy huge. So yeah, I'm ultimately glad I did it because it is something that is important to talk about and to people to know that they're not alone. And there are so many people who suffer from it, but it is something that feels very kind of lonely in it. So it's good to talk about it and share it. But thank you to everyone who reached out, and I'm slowly responding to everyone. I'm going in order from the first that I got to the list, but I did go and read them all because I wanted to make sure that if anybody needed immediate help that I would reach out to them right away. So I've read them all and I'm responding back to them. So if I haven't responded back to you yet, don't worry. It's coming. So I'm having some tea right now. And my David's tea thing that I got for Mother's Day. And a lot of people have asked me about this. It is hard to get this top band off because you steep the tea in this part right here, and then you put in a canister of ice, and it has to be pretty sealed tight right here because you don't want the water from where you steeped it in there's two canisters. You don't want the one to seep out and fall all over you. So it's still pretty tight, but you can do it, or your husband can do it, or it is pretty tight. The tea I'm having today is some white nectarine tea. It's nicely iced. So I have a finished object that I am so excited to share with you because last year I think I knit a sweater. I knit 6 sweaters last year, and they were all for me, and I was so much excitement about going to Rhinebeck, so I think I knit like 3 sweaters that I was going to take to Rhinebeck. But this year my sweater knitting has been slower. I think I've been knitting a sweater every 3 months. So since it's the end of the 6th month, I have my second sweater to show you this year. And one of my goals for this year is to knit 3 sweaters for other people. So I already knit one for my husband, and then I knit this one for myself. So my next sweater will be for someone else. But this is the Hiro sweater, Hiro, and it is by, I believe, Julia Fairmont Clay, or Clay Fairmont. Yeah, it's done. It is knit out of Spud and Chloe sweater in 4 different colors. And there's currently the camera keeps flashing back and forth. There's currently a giveaway for these 4 yarns. Because I had a ton left over. Even, I think of the white, I had 90% of a full entire skein left. So it's blue, and it's a little bit lighter than a navy, a white, and then an orange, and then an aqua teal kind of color, or more aqua than teal. But I still have to sew in the ends and block it. And that right there, that little bump, that's just because I need to sew that part together from binding off. But I think it turned out beautifully. And the yoke part, the color work, was very, very fun to do. And it's all done. So you can kind of see the colors up close there. It is a very heavy sweater because it is worsted weight, and the Spud and Chloe sweater yarn is 50% wool, 50% cotton. So it will be a heavy sweater, but not quite as hot as like 100% wool. And I am really wishing that it wasn't almost July and over 100 degrees every day so that I could wear this. So dreaming of cooler weather, all you people who are in the southern hemisphere, and my friend who's in Chile, you could be wearing this sweater. And it fits really well. I tried it on, and I think it'll fit even better when it's blocked. It's a little roomy, but I think when it's blocked, it will be this enormously cozy, not enormous, but big cozy sweater to bundle up in the Texas winters. And that is my finished object there. Now, onto the project which has created the episode title, Yarn Chicken Fail. Because in my Girl Sew Sheepy bag, which I absolutely adore, and it just makes me smile every time I see it. And I say, if there's a fabric print in a bag that makes you smile every time you see it, get it. Because it's great to have little things in your life that make you smile. So in here is my Doodler, the Doodler shawl by Stephen West, and so close. So the yarn that I was playing yarn chicken with was the Lemonade Shop I Love Cake, and it's this wonderfully, pull out the shawl for you. It's got nice and big. It's the back. So last time I showed this to you, oh, see, this is why I love these progress markers, because you can really see. So last time I showed you I was right here. I knit all that this week, and after this thing blocks out, it's going to be wonderful. But so I have 3 of the short rows left, and the short row doesn't go all the way across, because as you can see, it starts here, and then the short rows, so I have like, not three garter rows, so 6 rows total, 3 garter ridges that I need to do, and they're just like right here. This is how much yarn I have left. It's not enough at all. So I'm going to put this plea out to the knitting world. If anybody has, even I just need like 5 grams, like less than a 10 gram mini, like half, 5 grams to finish my shawl so I can get to the cabled part because I ran out of yarn. If anybody has even 5 grams of the Lemonade Shop I Love Cake yarn, just speckled, would you be willing to give me a mini, and I will give you a ton of sock yarn minis in exchange, however many you want that I have, like 10 or what, 5, 10, I don't know. I just need enough to finish this. So if anybody has any left of this yarn, and I'll wait a little bit, and then I might put a plea out on Instagram too, because I can't work on it and do it until I finish it, and I don't have enough. I just need 5 grams. So if anybody sees this and has that and would like to do a mini swap where you give me 1 mini and I give you a bunch, just so I can keep going on my shawl and I don't have to buy a whole nother skein of this yarn for just 5 grams. Thank you in advance if anybody has that. So yeah, Doodler shawl. It's a great knit, lots of fun. Stephen West patterns are always very interesting construction and fun. And my husband, I was knitting on that and he walked by and he goes, "Is that a Stephen West pattern?" And I was like, "Yes, how did you know?" And he's like, "Because it looks really cool." He's been obsessed with how it looks like a butterfly wing. He's like, or he was saying a alicorn wing. For those of you who have kids who like My Little Ponies, he thinks it looks like a Pegasus or a unicorn. Like if a Pegasus had a wing, that show it to you one more time. Whoop. This would be what a Pegasus wing would look like. So I think that's probably pretty accurate. That would be a great Pegasus wing. So that is the shawl that I need just a little bit more yarn to finish the first section so I can move on to the second. And then the next project went with me on my, as my friends were saying that this episode title should be by Shenanigans this weekend. And this is in a pink waffle bag. And it is my socks. And these got very little knit on because while I went this weekend, some of the places I absolutely could not knit. It would have been very rude, and I didn't. So this is the opal in the Little Prince. The color I think is 7763, and maybe the dye lot is 758. Oh, and in here My friends gave me some stitch markers at the thing this weekend. I'll show them the Yarn Barn, which is a wonderful yarn shop here in San Antonio. And then this is so cute. It's my friend. This is her favorite hat. This is the hashtag she uses on Instagram all the time, Knit Nasty. So if you search that hashtag, you can see all her awesome pictures. So this is in the middle of the row. But this is the yarn. It's gorgeous. And I'm going to be giving my leftovers to my friend Tanya, who wants this for her mini square blanket. But I was about here last week, I think. So I knit the heel, and then I have started up the cuff. And I'm kind of trying to make them a little bit longer than my normal socks. So I want them to be roomy house socks instead of, I don't want them to have negative ease. I don't want to wear them in shoes. I just want to wear them around the house. So that's that. That was worked on this weekend. And then, okay, so what to do next? Let's talk about, oh, it started raining outside. I love the rain. To me, rain symbolizes like renewal and growth and creating beauty in nature. Oh, I love the rain. Okay. Now I want to go in my chair over there and grab a book and read. Oh, it's so pretty, you guys. It's coming down really lightly, and the sky is this gorgeous shade of gray. Okay. But where was I? Oh, spinning. So next week I will have the plied rainbow yarn that I'm doing for my friend Mina. But I wanted to show you, I've decided my plans for the Tour de Fleece, which starts next Saturday. So if you're joining in, get excited. So I'm going to show you, I talked about my 2 goals. So my 1 goal is going to be to get to work on my drop spindles, get those projects that have been on there forever off. And my 2nd goal is going to be to spin an hour a day on my wheel. So I'll have less knitting during Tour de Fleece. But this is a braid that I'm going to be spinning up for a friend called it's from the Barbed Dragon, and it's called Orchids. And it's a 65-25-10 Polwarth mohair silk, which I have never tried that blend before, so that'll be fun. And it's beautiful. It's stunning, and I am so excited to see how this spins up. And then the next braid is going to be for one of you. This was the one that was won for the Patreon when I put the poll up, and it is the 3 Waters Farm, and it is the Spring in My Heart, and it is a merino silk. And it's gorgeous. So I'm going to be spinning this up, and one of the lucky Patreon winners is going to get this braid. And I have a Patreon, I think I've talked about it a little bit, account for BookishStitcher podcast. But there's that. And then another thing that I'm going to try to do 3 braids, and then I have a stretch goal braid. So this is my 3rd braid of fiber that I'm hoping to spin, and this also is going to go for a friend. And then my stretch goal braid of fiber, if I get the others done, and because sometimes you never know how much an hour will carry you. So this is my stretch goal. Again, for a friend. Actually, this might be for my mom. She would love these colors. But yeah. It's beautiful. Another 3 Waters Farm. And this is Clear Light Dawning. Oh, the rain. I'm captivated by the rain. I think I would love living in Seattle where it rained almost. Oh, and you can hear the thunder. This is going to be like the best podcast ever. As long as the power doesn't go out, because that would not be the best. But I love thunderstorms and rain. But yes. And I'm easily distracted by thunderstorms and rain. Okay, so that's spinning, and it's coming, Tour de Fleece. I love little motivating things like that. I know some people hate them and some people aren't motivated for them, but it depends very much on your personality. So if you're that kind of person, then you would love participating in it. I don't know if I'm going to be on a team yet or anything. I'm still mulling that idea around in my head. So let's get on to group news, and then we'll do enabling. So group news, like I said, For the Patreon, I'm going to be spinning up that braid of fiber and then doing a giveaway for that. And I'm also going to be, thank you to all the new Patreon people, I'm going to be sending out cards and buttons. Oh, I was going to bring down the buttons to show you. They're cute little buttons with the Bookish Stitcher logo on them. So it's a cartoon, a very cute cartoon drawing. It says the Bookish Stitcher on a banner. And I'm wearing like a blue hat and my hair down, and then I'm reading a book. And but it's stylized in this very cute cartoon way. And so that's the button. And those and the cards are going to be going out this week. So if you're a Patreon person, then that will be coming to you soon. And you've asked for a button. Some people said yes, and people said no to the card and button gift. And then, so my friend who dyes the wonderful yarn, Lone Star Arts, that's her yarn shop, and you should go definitely look into it. I've shown you some of her yarn that I've gotten before. She lives in San Antonio, and she has like a place where she dyes, a dye studio. I don't know if it's fully a studio, but she has a place where she dyes. And she said I could come over and dye some yarn with her. I'm excited, but I'm nervous. What if I hate it? What if I love it? We'll see. And so I am going to be dyeing a skein of yarn for you guys, for the Patreon people, and I'm going to give that away too whenever that's done. I don't know when exactly because we'll both have to work around our schedules when she and I can both do it. But I am so excited to go and dye some yarn with her and kind of learn about all that she does. I think that's going to be fun. And I might see if I can dye up another skein for something else, for a cowl or something like that. And then we have our sock needle experiment cowl going on right now, which is in there. And then we had our 1,000-member thing. Oh, and this is episode 100. I should have worn I should have gone to the store and gotten like a 100 headband or something, or had something special, so I completely forgot. But yeah, so this is episode 100, and wow. I did the 1,000-member draw for the group, and the winners for that were post number 43, which is RYDERG123, and then post number 4, Amy Loris, post number 93, Lady M, post number 29, Bam's Zoo, post number 114, Sea Fish 2816, I believe. So if you're one of those, I decided to draw for 5 people because really, like, it's more fun to include. It's fun to include a lot of people, and then it'll take me a little longer to finish all the prizes for you guys. But as long as everybody's patient, then that's all good, and you get something in the end. So that will be fun. So I decided instead of drawing for 1 or 2 people to draw for 5. So we'll do it in order of who contacts me first. We'll also, like, if you contact me and say, I would like some hand spun, then I'll say, okay, and we'll discuss that out. Or if you're like, I would like a pair of socks, or I would like a cowl or a hat. It has to be something 1 skein or less. You can't want a sweater. You can want a sweater, but I'm not going to knit you a sweater. I'm sorry. I love you all, but no. So those are the winners for the 1,000-member cowl. And then speaking of sweaters, my next sweater is going to be for my best friend. She every time I see her, she's requesting new things. Oh, the rain is so pretty. Every time I see her, she's requesting new things. And she has asked for a sweater, and then when I saw her this weekend, she asked for a shawl. But so her sweater, she wants an all-white sweater, and I got the yarn for it last year when Knit Picks was having, I think, their Black Friday sale or Cyber Monday sale. But so I'm going to be knitting a pattern by Justina Lorkowska for her. And I thought it might be fun to do an informal Justina Lorkowska along. She has a ton of amazing patterns, and if you guys would like, if you've had some in your queue that you've been wanting to knit for forever, but you just haven't, it doesn't have to be sweaters. It can be hats, shawls, scarves, anything. Sorry, getting text from a friend. But it can be hats, mittens, anything. So I'll put up a post for that, and I'll try to figure out a prize or something for that. Maybe that could be another of the hand-dyed by me skeins of yarn that I dye with my friend. So the Justina Lorkowska cowl will be happening until I finish that sweater, so probably another 3 months. Just really informal. I don't want it to be any hard rules or anything like that. And then, lastly, for group news, I talked about the yarn and book swap that Deja Vu, who suggested the idea, said, And so many of you are really excited about it, so I'm going to put up a thread for that. We can kind of hash out the details and figure out things and figure out a questionnaire and stuff, kind of determine how to decide which books and stuff like that. So that will be going up, and if you're interested in that, look for that thread. And then actually, last thing, which I forgot, Ultramariner, who designed the adorable Jex cardie that I test knit for her. I showed it off on the podcast several times, and I will be posting a picture to Instagram also of the finished one, or on my Ravelry page, maybe Instagram too, of my finished, because one of my goals this week is to take pictures of my finished objects that I finished in the last few months and put those on my Ravelry page, because that's something I've been neglecting to do. But so the pattern is out, the Jex pattern is out, and it's adorable, and she has so many sizes. So you could knit it for a baby, you could knit it for a toddler, a child, for yourself, which I love when you buy one pattern and then it fits for so many different, options. So we're going to be having a giveaway for that, and I'll put that thread up in the Ravelry group. And the prompt for that, she wanted to know your favorite weight of yarn that you knit with. And then she also so sweetly offered up a coupon code for anybody who would like to go and get the pattern. And if you want to wait till after you see if you won or not, you can do that. I think it's good for a little while. But the coupon code is BookishStitcher, all together, one word, all in caps, 15. And that is for 15% off. And you just apply that when you go to checkout for the pattern on Ravelry. So the Jex, G-E-X cardie. So that is all the group news. I'm going to take a sip before I get into this weekend. So this weekend was the Houston Fiber Fest, and a whole bunch of my friends were going down from all over, and they were all staying at hotels, but I didn't want to pay for a hotel, so I messaged my best friend forever ago. She lives in the Woodlands, which is about 40 minutes from where the festival was being held. I messaged her forever ago to ask if I could stay with her on Friday night, and she said yes. And so Wednesday evening, I had messaged her and said, oh, I'm so looking forward to just getting to hang out with you and chill and just talk. And she said, yeah, it's going to be great. Go forward to the next night, Thursday night. She texts me, hey, can you bring some clothes for a wedding when you come? I'm like, what? So those of you who are watching are probably having two different reactions based on your personalities. If you're an extrovert, you're probably like, wedding, party, that sounds like so much fun. And then if you're like me, and you either like introvert or have social anxiety issues, you're probably like, not in my stomach, how do I get out of this? So that was me. So it's like, no, I won't know these people. I will just go, hang out somewhere else and not, sorry, I'm adjusting my computer. And it's okay. You can go. I don't know them. I don't want to interfere. I'll just hang out. And so she's like, no, you have to go. And all Thursday night, I was up thinking, how do I get out of this? I did not sleep Thursday night. Woke up Friday, got ready, and my husband's like, yeah, you're not going to the wedding. Friday morning, she's texting me, and she's like, you have to come. Best friends can convince you of anything. We've known each other for over half our lives. And so apparently what was happening, her husband was in the wedding. He was on the groom's side. He was a groomsman. He was in the wedding. She did not know another single person that was going to be at this wedding. And since he was going to be doing all this wedding stuff, she was just going to be sitting by herself at the whole wedding, like for the whole ceremony, for the whole reception before he was in there while they were taking wedding pictures. And so I asked her, I said, you promise that you don't know anybody at this wedding, because I'm envisioning that I'm going to get there and she's going to be talking to everybody and I'm going to be sitting there like, why am I here? But she promised me, and it was true. She didn't know anybody. The groom's side had very few people there. His bride, she was Filipino and had a very large, very sweet and loving family, and so her family was the vast majority of this very, very small wedding. And so they went to the wedding, and my husband came home. I was getting ready to pack, and I'm like, I'm going to the wedding. And he's like, how did she convince you of this? I'm like, I don't know. I knew that if I saw her in person, she would convince me, because best friends again. She can convince me of anything. And so we got down there, we got dressed, and we went to the wedding, and I wasn't sure how it would be. And I got there, and it was outdoors in Texas. Oh, so like we were dripping with sweat, and we were sitting there talking and giggling the entire time. And her husband always teases us that we turn into like giggly high school girls whenever we're together. And so the wedding was beautiful. The bride's dress was gorgeous, and everybody was very sweet. And then we went into the reception, and we were seated at our table, original table, and it was kind of a not fun thing that happened, but one of the men at the table was very adamant that he wanted his friends, they had assigned seating, and he wanted his friend to sit at the table with him, and he did not want us there because he didn't know us, and so he kind of kicked us out of the table. But it was a complete blessing in disguise, because we went to this, my best friend, her husband, found another table for us, and we went to that table because it was basically, do you hear that? Oh, it's gorgeous. So we went to another table because that one was empty because it didn't have as many people at it, and there had been two couples there, and one of the couples had to go home for their babysitter. Anyways, so we sat at that table, and the couple that was already at that table, I had such a lovely discussion with the woman there. She's deaf, and I got to practice my sign language. I don't talk about this on the podcast. I talk about, not being fluent. No, I'm not fluent in any of these, but having tourist fluency in 5 languages. Well, English I am fluent in, but in 4 languages I'm basically tourist fluent, where I could drop down in the middle of the country and get what I need and do what I need, but I'm not fluent into where I could talk anything. But I never mention sign language because I never think about it. But so I guess it's 6 languages, but I know the sign language alphabet perfectly. I know some other signs. Again, I don't know everything. But so she and I got to sign, and she's completely deaf, so she doesn't, she can read lips, but it was dark and there were dance lights, so she couldn't actually read. But I got to sign with her and I got to learn some new, so I was asking her a lot of time, like, how do you sign, and then spelling out the word, and I got to learn a whole bunch of new sign things. Like, she's from Egypt, so I got to learn the sign word from Egypt, and her whole family's back in Egypt, and it was just a wonderful night. And then at the end of the night, as the night was winding down, there was a whole bunch of dancing, and my best friend and I, and her name was Hava, we went out on the dance floor, and we were all dancing, and I don't know what got into me. I never dance. Like, I am a complete introvert, but something about, like, just being with my best friend and this wonderful, sweet person, and we were just dancing, and there was a photo booth, and I meant to bring pictures. They're over there. We took photo booth. In one of the pictures, I'm wearing a hat that looks like a shark is eating my head, and then another picture I have on sunglasses that make you look like a pirate with a beard, and we're all 3 in there laughing and giggling. And it was the most I have laughed in forever, because I can't remember the last time my best friend and I got to have a night without the kids, just she and I there being silly. I can't remember it. It might have been in college. So it was wonderfully lovely and so refreshing. I think when you do have different, mental health issues, friends are so important. And having someone there that you can laugh with is so important. But I brought to show you guys the wedding party favors and then this is going to be a bit longer of an episode, sorry guys. But I brought them to show because I thought they were beautiful. So it's this box and a flower, the ribbon, and you opened it up, and inside there's a little cookie. I haven't shown this to my kids yet because they would have promptly eaten it, but there's their initials for the bride and the groom, and the cookie was done by the Cookie Girl, which is theCookieGirl.com, theCookieGirlStore.com. It's probably based out of Houston or the Woodlands. But I thought that was very pretty, and it's a real flower, so it was gorgeous. A party favor. And so then drove all the way back to my best friend's house and So while we were driving back, I knew she had told me about it originally, that, and this is odd because this has never happened in her neighborhood ever, but there had been a drive-by shooting, and it had been at her house. And she had told me about it when it happened, but I didn't quite understand the magnitude, and as we were driving back, after we'd been all silly and stuff, she was kind of telling me about it, and I didn't understand, like, there were tons of shots that had been fired, and, you know, just the whole, everything that had happened. And they don't know why their house was shot. The cops that when they came by thought that it was, and the detective that came by thought that it was somebody who got the wrong address or something like that. But when I got back and I was going to go to sleep that night, you could see the bullet holes. Like she hadn't shown me them. And so what does a person that has anxiety do? They don't sleep. I kept thinking, like, please, dear God, please don't let there be another drive-by shooting tonight. And so I didn't sleep Thursday night because I was worried about the wedding, and I didn't sleep Friday night because I was worried about drive-by shooting. But there was no drive-by shootings. I was safe, so that was very good news. And then I woke up in the morning and got dressed and went to the Houston Fiber Festival. And I got to see, there were about a group of 18 of us, 12 to 18 of us, who all met up there. We didn't all travel together, but we all met up there, and we had lunch, and we went around and shopped and did all kinds of things. And I got to meet a few of you there, which was lovely, and I forgot buttons, so I'm so sorry. But like I said last week, I was going to sell one of the baby wraps. From when my daughter was a baby, I had 5 baby wraps, and I've been meaning to sell them, but it's hard to kind of part with that kind of thing. So I had 1 baby wrap, and I was going to sell just the one and get a prize for you guys. But I thought, why don't I try and sell 2, and then I can get something for them and something for me. And so I guess I'll show you first what I got for you guys. It's a self-striping yarn, very fun and summery. And this giveaway prize is going to be going up this time. And it's by Brazen Stitchery. And the colorway is Brat Pack, which is a reference to the group of actors from the mid-'80s that were in the Brat Pack, which is a playback from the Rat Pack, which was the group of actors and singers from the 50s. But I got to know about the Brat Pack because I have a big sister. I was born in the middle of the 80s, and so I was too young for most 80s stuff, but I learned about it from my sister. I kind of think of myself as a child of the 90s. So I love all the Brat Pack stuff, but it was not my generation, it was my sister's. So this is the color, sorry, jabbering on. It's by Brazen Stitchery. It's gorgeous summer colors, and it is greens and purples and pinks and blues. It just reminds me of like kids' swimsuits and all colors that you would see at the swimming pool. So that's a fun thing, and that's going to be the thing. And I think for the giveaway for that, let's say either let's do something about the Brat Pack or the Rat Pack. So if you like the Rat Pack better, say who was your favorite member of the Rat Pack, or what was a favorite. It has like Frank Sinatra, Humphrey Bogart, Dean Martin, different ones. Your favorite movie they were in, or your favorite song. If you prefer the Brat Pack, then say what was your favorite, like Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, anything that one of the actors were in, or your favorite actor, anything like that, anything relating to either the Rat Pack or the Brat Pack. And if you're super young and you don't know what either of those is, go and enjoy Netflix. Maybe there will be something you can watch and you can tell me. But yeah, that's the yarn. And then for me, I had gotten this yarn at DFW Fiber Fest. And I wanted to knit it into a shawl, and I have been gifted a pattern by my friend Jennifer, Ironical Knitter, a while ago, forever ago. I don't think it's been a year, a few months. And she gifted me the Lily Pilly shawl, and I've been wanting to knit it because it's a really fun pattern of the stripe section with lace panels. But I don't have a lot of solid skein yarn solids in my yarn stash. So I had this one and it has the spot, but in my yarn stash. And so I got ones to go with it. And this that I got is Lazy Cat yarn, and this is the best priced indie dyer yarn I've ever seen. I was amazed that it was this cheap. I was actually showing friends, I was like, look. But this color is Don't Blink, so wonderful Doctor Who reference. This is Lazy Cat, and it's this grays. So these two are going, this is one I'd already had in my stash. This one is going to be striped up for the stripe section. And then Lost City Knits, I've heard about them forever ago. My friend Elizabeth, who is Dark Matter Knits, actually introduced them to me at DFW W.I.P.s in 2015, but I had never gotten any of their yarn. So I got this to go for the lace section of the shawl. So those three yarns will be combining stripes and the lace part to make the Lily Pilly shawl. Yay, thank you, Jennifer. So that's going to be coming up. I might actually knit this in September, the Lily Pilly shawl. And that was all that I purchased, but I got given something. I tried to purchase this, but she was like, no, I want to give it to you. So my sweet friend, who is Ida Claire on Ravelry, but she does the DianaCouture bags. And I've talked about her Serena bag so many times because it is my favorite bag for two-color shawls or two-skein shawls. But this is her Yarn Owl, and I had never had one of these, and I'd seen them talked about, or I've seen them at her shows, and I've seen other people, using them. My knit group, a lot of the people in my knit group have these bags, and this is just perfect for carrying around your little project like socks. And I'm going to put a sock in this week. So this has a little inside logo, and it snaps. Put your yarn in, and it snaps in there, and the yarn can go through there, and you can knit while having it on your wrist. And this snaps and unsnaps too, so I guess you could attach it to almost anything. It's perfect. And she gave me this so kind. I tried to pay her. She's like, no. But I love this print. It's very Scandinavian flower print, which is gorgeous. So thank you again, and it was so wonderful to get to see you and talk a bit more. I wish she lived really close so we could go and do a knit night together, or a knitting group thing together. That would be lovely. So yay, a little Yarn Owl, and these are an amazing price. And her shop might be closed right now, but because she was just at the festival, but definitely go and check it out. And it is on Etsy. It's DianaCouture.etsy.com. And she's going to be going to Stitches Midwest. So if you're going to Stitches Midwest, you can check out her awesome stuff in person. Yay! So now on to, oh my gosh, it's going to be so long. And I thought it was going to be 15 minutes. So now on to book stuff. So we have our short story read along that we are doing with Amy Loris, host of Knit Theory, and she picked the Yellow Wallpaper as the short story for June. And I actually reviewed this short story on the podcast in either 2015 or 2014. It was October of that year. And the Yellow Wall, I'm not going to review the whole thing over again because I feel like that would be a little bit redundant. But the Yellow Wallpaper was written by Charlotte Perkins Gilman, and it is telling of a woman who, her husband, she's having some mental health issues, her nerves, she's having nerves, and so her husband takes her to this place and decides she needs rest. But by rest, he means confinement to a small room, and you're not allowed to do anything but take occasional walks. And so what happens when you're confined to a room? You slowly go insane, and she starts seeing someone in the wallpaper. And it's a very good story. It's very interesting about women and the time that they were in and how they were treated. But so Brenda, who's a good yarn and does the short story thing, she so awesomely sent me this thing on Instagram. And this is a post by Roaming Soul Apothecary. And here's the picture. And their post said, as an older teenager, I was given the story The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Gilman to read, and it haunted my thoughts. I dreamt about it, thought about it daily, till I knew I needed to create an image to release it from my psyche. I went straight to the dark room to work on creating this image you see here of the woman behind the yellow wallpaper. After several tries, I frustratingly stuffed the prints in a box, feeling they just weren't good enough, a failed creation. Years and years later, I unexpectedly came across one of these images today and felt pride for that young woman who created them. I looked at this art and fell in love with it, felt the power it was meant to exude. I wanted to go back and tell her she is working things out in herself through this story that she couldn't possibly understand, but in due time it would bring clarity. I want to rub her back, braid her hair, and tell her that her frustrations are valid, but she is of substance. And she's of substance, that she is not a failure, but always creating what she needs to, how she needs to, and when she needs to. She is her own light. She is her own gift, and she will not be another woman trapped behind that yellow wallpaper. She will flourish. She will live. She will speak her truth. She will create an image powerful enough to bring tears to her future self for the awareness and understanding it brought at just the right moment. She will create an image that will bring comfort to her older self, that will serve as a reminder to never stop expressing herself, never stop her art, never stop her creations. They are of substance. They add to this world to create the collective. They are whole in themselves. They do not fall short. They are needed. Roaming Soul Apothecary. This is beautiful, beautiful. Not only an artist with drawing, but also with words. So I'm going to show that up one more time. You should all go follow her. And I'm actually going to follow her now that I've posted that. But I just thank you, Brenda, A Good Yarn, for sharing that. I thought that was beautiful. And so the next short story, oh my gosh, longest podcast ever. The next short story is going to be, I want to travel to a different country. So we're going to do Guy de Maupassant, or as they would say in America, Guy de Maupassant. He wrote a plethora of wonderful short stories, and some people have said that it's like the French Shakespeare, and a lot of his stories have been turned into movies, and he's just has a very interesting selection of short stories. And so one of his is The Necklace. So that is going to be the short story for July, The Necklace by Guy de Maupassant. And I hope you enjoy it. I haven't read it yet, but I'm looking forward to probably reading through several of his short stories because I'm to try out somebody from a different country than the actual book for this week, because you haven't had enough, right? You're not like, Jeanette. So I was reading this book called Dead Wake. I reviewed another book by Erik Larson at the very beginning of this year, but it was Woman in the White City or Murder in the White City or something like that. Totally blanking now. And I think some other people did a book club on that book, so that was cool. Some other knitters. But this is Dead Wake by Erik Larson, and I finished reading it a while ago. But it's based on the last crossing of the Lusitania. And I wanted to review it this time because, as you can see, I have some tabs, because there's a part in it that talks about the yellow wallpaper and the author of it, and I thought that was such a wonderful interconnectedness. So the Lusitania, if anybody knows, is a British ship, and it was traveling from America. On its last trip, it was traveling from America back to the UK, and it was sunk by a German submarine. And this deals with what's going on in America and what's going on in Germany and what's going on in the UK, Britain at this time, and just all over the world as it was about to enter. Some of it was already in, of course, as America was about to enter World War I. And it deals with the president and how he was going through with his personal life stuff after the death of his wife, and then starting to enter in a new relationship and just all the kinds of personal struggles he was having. It deals with people that were on the ship and the person who was the captain of the German submarine, German U-boat who sunk eventually, who ended up sinking the Lusitania. And so it's a wonderful history book. If you liked Murder in the White City, is that what it's called? If you liked his other Devil in the White City, it's on the back. If you liked Devil in the White City because of the true crime element, this book is not for you. If you enjoy history, then this book is for you. If you especially enjoy war history, then this is for you. So I have two passages I wanted to quickly read, and then I'll end up the podcast. So this talks about there's a character in here who is a early feminist, and it talks about the Yellow Wallpaper. So her name was Theodate, and it was, let's see. It talks about how Theodate complied with the rules of Mitchell's rest. Her psychologist had said that she should rest, that she should not do anything but just rest. She was suffering from depression. So he's like, just rest. And that was what a lot of these women were told at this time, and it did not help them. Complied with the rules of Mitchell's rest cure, even though she believed rest to be the last thing she needed. She wrote, "I'm always happy when I keep so busy that I cannot stop to think of the sadness of life." The cure didn't help, and in fact, Dr. Mitchell's approach was soon to undergo a nationwide reevaluation. In 1892, a writer named Charlotte Perkins Gilman published a popular short story, The Yellow Wallpaper, in which she attacked Mitchell's rest cure. Gilman had become a patient of his in 1887, a year before Theodate's treatment. So interesting the history interlocking here, because Theodate was treated by the same man that had treated Gilman, and they both felt that this treatment was horrible. So, let's see. Gilman had been a patient of his in 1887, a year before Theodate's treatment, suffering from what a later generation would describe as postpartum depression. Gilman spent a month at Mitchell's clinic. Afterwards, he wrote out a prescription for how she was to proceed after the treatment. Live as domestic a life as possible. Have your child with you all the time. Lie down an hour after each meal. Have but 2 hours of intellectual life a day, but 2 hours. And this, never touch a pen, brush, or pencil again as long as you live. Gilman claimed that Mitchell's cure drove her to the edge of insanity. She wrote the story, she said, to warn would-be patients of the dangers of this doctor who so nearly drove me mad. Isn't that neat? I was reading through this and I was like, I have to review this book for the Yellow Wallpaper. It was just so neat how they intersected. I loved that. And then the last thing I would skip because it's a long podcast, but this is so beautiful that you need to hear it. Okay, so after the ship sank, so many people died, and there were horrible, horrible stories of just death. But Erik Larson includes in here a beautiful story of life and a happy ending. And so we're going to end the podcast on a beautiful story of life and happy ending. So there were reunions of a happy... Let me take a sip first because this is my voice. There were reunions of a happier sort as well. Seaman Leslie Morton spent Friday night looking for his brother Cliff on the lists of survivors and in the hotels of Queenstown, but found no trace. Early the next morning, he sent a telegram to his father. M saved, looking for Cliff. He went to one of the morgues. Laid out in rows all the way down on both sides were sheeted and shrouded bodies, he wrote, and a large number of people in varying states of sorrow and distress were going from body to body, turning back the sheets to see if they could identify loved ones who had not yet been found. He worked his way along, lifting sheets. Just as he was about to pull yet one more, he saw the hand of another searcher reaching for the same sheet. He looked over and saw his brother. Their reaction was deadpan. "Hello, Cliff. Glad to see you." He says, "Hello." It's like British. Leslie said, "I'm glad to see you too, Gert." Cliff said, "I think we ought to have a drink on that." So neither of them knew that they were alive, and they both found each other at the exact same moment. As it happened, their father had not spent too much time worrying. He had received telegrams from both sons telling him each was alive and looking for the other. The telegrams, Leslie later learned, had arrived 5 minutes apart, so that Father knew at home that we were both safe before we did. That night, Leslie had his first ever Guinness. I cannot say that I thought much of it in those days, but it seemed a good thing in which to celebrate being alive, having got together again, and being in Ireland. So, I thought that was a beautiful story and fun. Of brothers finding each other, and their father didn't have to worry even more than 5 minutes. But So that is The Dead Wake, The Last Crossing of the Lusitania by Erik Larson. And that is everything I have for you this week. So much. But I hope you guys all have a wonderful week and that you get to do all the things you love. Okay, bye guys.